A 7-year-old child in 1985 walks alone down a British high street, hands a shopkeeper a pound note and walks out with a packet of Embassy cigarettes for their mother. No questions asked. None of these 7 things felt reckless at the time. They vanished through new laws and quiet shifts. You'll spot your childhood somewhere in this countdown. Number 7 takes us back to that corner shop. Number 7 brings us to the corner shop, a place where independence was measured in loose change and the weight of a parent's trust. Children as young as 6 or 7 would be handed a pound note and sent off alone to buy a loaf of bread, a tin of beans, or, without a flicker of scandal, a packet of Embassy cigarettes for mum. The shopkeeper usually knew the child's name, their parents, and probably their grandparents too. On Sundays, it was normal to be left outside the pub with a Corona Cherryade and a bag of Golden Wonder crisps, waiting in the car park while the adults finished their pints. Technically, selling tobacco to those under the age of 16 had been illegal since 1933, but the law was more a formality than a barrier. Only in 2007 did the legal age rise to 18, and with it came stricter checks and a slow end to the quiet trust that once bound the high street together. Number 6 takes us to the playgrounds of the 1980s, where danger and delight spun side by side. The Witch's Hat Roundabout was a fixture in council parks, mounted directly onto bare tarmac, its conical frame inviting children to climb, cling, and spin at speeds that would make modern parents wince. Metal slides, too, were built for thrill rather than caution. On a hot day, the surface could reach temperatures fierce enough to burn the backs of bare legs, yet the only warning was the memory of last week's scorch. These spaces were designed for excitement first, risk control a distant second. It wasn't until 1998, when the BSEN 1176 safety standard arrived, that playgrounds began to change. New rules demanded impact-absorbing surfacing, regulated fall heights, and safer spacing. Councils responded by removing or retrofitting much of the old equipment, trading the wild joy of the Witch's Hat for the gentle bounce of rubber mulch and the slow disappearance of the playground daredevil. Number 5 is the ritual of buying bangers and fireworks with pocket money, a seasonal freedom that's now vanished from British childhood. In the run-up to bonfire night, newsagents and corner shops stocked boxes of bangers, jumping jacks and other small explosives, all within easy reach of children clutching 50p pieces. For many, the excitement wasn't just about the official display, but the thrill of setting off a banger in an empty tin, watching a jumping jack skitter across the tarmac. Or, if you were feeling reckless, posting one through a letterbox. The loudest bangers became playground currency, swapped and traded with the precision of a small black market. Injuries were common enough to be shrugged off, and the annual warnings from Blue Peter or the local constable rarely dented the sense of adventure. That era came to an abrupt end in 1997, when a new law banned bangers, firecrackers, and any firework with an erratic flight. The last remnants of childhood pyromania were swept away soon after, as the minimum age for buying even a sparkler rose to 18. What was once a rite of passage is now a relic, remembered with a wince and a wry smile. Number 4 is the long-lost freedom of playing out all day and walking to school alone, a pattern of independence that now feels almost mythical. In the early 1980s, a child might vanish after breakfast, pockets full of conkers or marbles, and return only when the streetlights flickered on. Parents rarely knew exactly where their children were, just the general area, somewhere between the park, the rec, and whichever friend's house had the best biscuits. For 6 and 7-year-olds, walking or cycling to school unaccompanied was an everyday expectation, not a mark of unusual bravery or neglect. The numbers tell the story with stark clarity. In 1971, around 80% of 7 and 8-year-olds travelled to school on their own. By 1990, Maya Hillman's follow-up found that figure had collapsed to just 9%. In a single generation, the ordinary independence of British childhood shrank to a shadow of its former self. The reasons, rising traffic, new fears, and changing routines, are complex, but the result was unmistakable. a quieter street, a more anxious parent, and the fading echo of a time when children mapped their own worlds one pavement at a time. Number 3 is the constant presence of cigarette smoke, a backdrop so ordinary that few children even noticed it. In the 1980s, smoke drifted through family cars on the school run, curled around bus seats on the top deck, and lingered in every corner of staff rooms and waiting areas. Even hospital maternity wards and doctors' surgeries kept ashtrays within arm's reach, as if nicotine was a natural part of the air. Restaurant tables came with a choice: smoking or non-smoking. Though the dividing line was mostly wishful thinking, for children, breathing in the sharp tang of tobacco was simply part of daily life, as familiar as the smell of school dinners or the whiff of wet tarmac after rain. The decisive break came on the 1st of July 2007, when England banned smoking in all enclosed public spaces, following Scotland's lead in 2006 and Wales and Northern Ireland soon after. Overnight, the blue haze that once hung over childhood vanished, replaced by a new clarity and a faint sense of disbelief that it was ever allowed at all. Number 2 is the family car, an everyday capsule of chaos, comfort, and, by modern standards, outright danger. In the 1980s, children sprawled across rear parcel shelves, knelt backwards to wave at drivers behind, or squeezed into the boot of an estate car alongside the shopping. Seatbelts, if present, were more likely to be sat on than worn. Small children often sat on an adult's lap in the front passenger seat, sometimes with both hands on the steering wheel, steering for a few seconds as the car rolled down a quiet street. The law finally caught up in 1989, making it compulsory for children under 14 to wear rear seat belts where fitted. 2 years later, the rule extended to adults in the back. The transformation was swift. Rear seat belt use jumped from about 1 in 10 people to 4 in 10 almost overnight. For a generation, the memory of a long journey meant a tangle of limbs, a view out the back window, and a sense of freedom that vanished as soon as the buckle clicked into place. And finally, in first place, the cane, an object that defined the boundary between discipline and humiliation for a generation of British schoolchildren. In the 1980s, corporal punishment was woven into the fabric of school life. A wooden cane kept in the head teacher's office or displayed as a warning was not just a threat but a routine tool for enforcing order. Minor offences, talking in class, untidy homework, forgotten PE kit, could earn a pupil a summons to the front at Monday morning assembly, where names were read aloud and the ritual played out in front of the whole school. For many, the ordeal began long before the sting. Parents had already signed formal consent forms, a bureaucratic nod that made the punishment seem almost respectable. The decisive break came on the 22nd of July, 1986, when the House of Lords voted 94 to 92 to abolish corporal punishment in state-funded schools. The margin, just 2 votes, reflected how divided the country still was on the issue. Yet the law marked a clear line in the sand. After decades of debate, the right to strike children with a cane was gone from most British classrooms. The ending, though, was not immediate or universal. Private schools carried on until 1998, Scotland until 2000, and Northern Ireland until 2003, each step a reminder of how slow and contested the change really was. For those who lived through it, the memory of the cane is tangled, part fear, part farce, and part badge of survival. Today, the idea that a teacher could legally beat a child for talking back is almost unthinkable. Yet for much of the 20th century, it was simply how things were done, a practice defended as character building, lamented as cruel, but rarely questioned out loud. The abolition of corporal punishment didn't just change school discipline, it signalled the end of one version of British childhood and the beginning of another, where the line between authority and care was redrawn for good. Across all 7 moments, one truth lingers. The real shift wasn't just in rules, but in trust. What's vanished isn't cigarettes or playground slides, it's a world where childhood meant being left to your own devices. In trading freedom for safety, we changed what it means to grow up British.